We're in a situation where right now we have not only the strongest military in the world, we have led not by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
The U.S. Air Force introduced a game changer called the X44 Manta, designed to redefine stealth technology. This advanced aircraft promised to lead the future of aerial combat, but funding for it was suddenly cut back in 2000. This powerful machine never really vanished, but instead, it quietly evolved into something even more formidable under the Next Generation Air Dominance program. What hidden things could this ultimate fighter jet be carrying today? Let's uncover the truth behind America's most ambitious aircraft project that will change war tactics around the globe. Lockheed's bold move in aviation. The Lockheed Martin crew, well known for their daring moves in aviation, led a major project that has drawn some attention. Think about what this team has accomplished. They've created some of the most well-known aircraft out there. They brought us the F-117 Nighthawk, a subsonic attack plane that you've probably seen in many Call of Duty video games. They also made the C-130 Hercules, the speedy SR-71, the high-flying U-2 Dragon Lady, and the famous F-35 Lightning II fighters. Before we dive deeper, it's clear that the X44 Manta holds more than just advanced technology. The reality behind it is far more shocking than anyone ever expected, and this isn't the only revelation waiting to unfold. Basically, it's hard to find any big American aerospace projects in the last 50 years that Lockheed Martin hasn't been a part of. When a company is involved in so many projects, it's natural that not all of them get completed. One such project is what we're diving into today, the X44 multi-axis no-tail aircraft, or, as it's often called, the Manta. Why the name Manta? Well, the X44 was part of the X-plane series, which includes various experimental aircraft and missiles from the US. These are meant to try out new tech and ideas about flying. The X44 had two big goals. First, it wanted to be the first tailless manned aircraft to fly just by moving the direction of its engine thrusts. This was supposed to lead to better speed, less fuel use, and better moves in the air. Second, it aimed to show that you can make an aircraft simpler and cheaper without losing its effectiveness. NASA was quite interested in the X44, hoping to use some of its new ideas and technologies in other U.S. aircraft like the F-22 Raptor and F-15 Eagle. The starting point for the X-44's design came from the F-22, another Lockheed Martin creation. To avoid just making another similar plane, the team decided to really shake things up. They kept only a few bits of the original design and changed everything else. For example, they dropped the usual tail that planes have. Instead, they went with a design without a tail at all, which looks a bit like Northrop's famous B-2 Spirit bomber. This wasn't just for looks, it was supposed to keep the plane hidden from enemy radars without hurting its ability to zip around the sky. The idea was to make a plane that could quickly dodge and weave, helped by the engine's nozzles that could tilt in different directions to steer. According to Air Force magazine, Lockheed Martin offered about 6 designs that looked like the F-22 Raptor to the US Air Force, but none got the go-ahead. However, the rough design of the Manta caught NASA's eye, and they thought it could be good for research. They changed up the engine and body shape, added triangular wings, and took off the tail, making the X-44 quite different from the F-22. The new wing shape also meant the Manta could hold more fuel than the Raptor, which was a big plus. Really, the idea behind the Manta was to test out a version of the Raptor that could go farther, carry more weapons, and stay hidden from enemies. It was supposed to pack a lot of firepower, which would normally make it stand out on radar screens. To fix this, the plan was to keep weapons tucked away inside the plane, much like the stealth bombers the US already used. The list of weapons was long. It included Sidewinder missiles for short-range dogfights, AMRAAM missiles for longer distances, 1,000-pound bombs, and even smaller bombs designed to hit specific spots precisely. There were also plans to hang 2 big fuel tanks under the wings and put a powerful cannon inside the plane. The Manta was supposed to be super fast, capable of hitting speeds up to 1,500 miles per hour. It could potentially fly as far as 1,988 miles and reach up to 49,000 feet in the sky. All this power came from 2 massive engines, each capable of a whopping 35,000 pounds of thrust. This plane was meant to be quiet, very well armed, agile, and still come at a price that wouldn't break the bank. However, even with all these impressive features, funding for the X44 project was stopped in the year 2000. At that time, the focus shifted to other projects, like continuing the development of the F-35 Lightning II and rolling out more of the F-22 Raptors. The X-44 Manta wasn't just an idea, it showed what the future of flying could be. When Lockheed's dream took a detour, this shift in focus often happens in big aerospace projects. The companies involved have to decide where to put their money, and sometimes that means stopping work on something promising to spend resources on something else that's either more urgent or just more likely to work out. For the Manta, it meant an end to the dream of seeing this innovative plane take to the skies. Lockheed Martin's story with the X-44 Manta is a perfect example of how complex and challenging aerospace design can be. From dreaming up new technologies to building prototypes that push the boundaries of what's possible in aviation, each project adds a bit to our understanding of flight, even if the plane itself never makes it off the drawing board. The story of the X-44 also shows how tough decisions need to be made about which projects get funded and which don't, as there's always a balance to be struck between innovation, practicality, and budget. It's a reminder of the relentless progress in aerospace technology, driven by the desire to explore new frontiers, improve efficiency, and enhance the capabilities of aircraft in terms of speed, stealth, and firepower. Though the Manta didn't reach production, its development process and the ideas it introduced remain valuable stepping stones in the ongoing quest to build better aircraft. The decision to cancel the X-44 Manta project came down to something really straightforward. There were other planes that seemed a better fit for being made in large numbers and for doing a variety of tasks. But did Lockheed Martin really drop this project entirely? It looks like they didn't let it go completely. This project was a big part of a larger plan to develop what's called the 6th generation stealth fighter for America, known as the Next Generation Air Dominance, NGAD. The main idea was to have a plane without a tail, which could work together with drones called Collaborative Combat Aircraft, or CCA. The designs and ideas from the Manta were really useful for this new fighter project. Originally, the X-44 was meant to have a pilot, but its design was also great for turning it into a drone. It was made to be really hard to see on radar and good at flying in complicated patterns, which made it an excellent choice for becoming a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle. But there's more to this project than just ambition. The biggest threat to planes like the X-44 comes from something called infrared search and track (IRT) systems. In the past few years, America's main competitors have been really interested in these systems. They can find and keep track of planes that are designed to be stealthy and are tough against tools meant to mess up radars and other types of electronic signals. What's really concerning for the U.S. Air Force is that these IRST systems don't make any noise, so a plane might not even know it's been found until it's too late. However, the team at Lockheed Martin is full of experts who probably saw these risks coming. They might have already looked into how IRST systems work and know which countries have this technology. One way they might help the NGAD avoid these systems is by finding new ways to keep the plane's heat down. Since IRST systems track the heat coming off a plane, lowering this heat might make it nearly impossible to see. Weather conditions also matter. Not every fight happens on a clear day. In fog, rain, or morning haze, IRST systems don't work as well, which could let the NGAD operate safely, complete its mission, and get back without trouble. The long range that was planned for the X-44 might also be used in this new 6th-generation fighter. The U.S. Air Force is thinking about two types of the NGAD, one that doesn't need to travel far for missions in Europe, and another that can go longer distances with more weapons for the Indo-Pacific region. This long-distance capability means the plane could work in places where it's hard to get fuel in the air, which is perfect for missions far from home. The X44 Manta faced many challenges, but its ideas didn't vanish. Instead, they became a part of future plans for American fighter jets. Lessons learned from a lost fighter. This brings up a question. During its development, could the Manta not travel far enough to help bombers get to the Pacific, especially if there was a conflict with China and Taiwan? It's something to think about. The Manta faced a lot of challenges because technology was changing so fast. When they were working on the X-44, ideas like using lasers in combat from planes or putting artificial intelligence in pilot helmets were still pretty out there. But the NGAD won't have these limitations. In fact, the U.S. Air Force imagines this fighter not just as one plane, but as a whole group of systems. The main plane would work with unmanned drones called Collaborative Combat Aircraft, CCA, or Loyal Wingman, and they would all be linked through a system called Manned-Unmanned Teaming, MUM-T. So, why did they think about canceling the Manta in the first place? It was because other planes at the time seemed like they could do more and be made more easily in big numbers. Yet, the ideas from the Manta didn't just disappear. They became a core part of this bigger, more advanced fighter project, the NGAD. The NGAD is a step into the future of air combat, using cutting-edge technology and new strategies to keep ahead in a world where being unseen and agile in the air is more important than ever. This program isn't just about building a single advanced fighter, but creating a system of manned and unmanned aircraft that work together to handle a wide range of missions under all kinds of conditions. This means that even in bad weather, where traditional systems might struggle, the NGAD could still perform well because of its unique design and the technology it uses. In the world of modern warfare, having planes that can go long distances without needing to refuel often is a big advantage. It allows a country like the United States to project its power far from its own shores, in regions where having a quick and strong air presence can make a big difference in the outcome of conflicts. The NGAD's ability to operate over vast areas without frequent refueling could be crucial in places like the Indo-Pacific, where distances are large and the geopolitical stakes are high. The NGAD and its components represent a significant leap forward in air combat capabilities, building on the foundations laid by earlier projects like the X-44 Manta. By integrating stealth features, advanced combat technology, and the ability to operate both manned and unmanned aircraft in coordinated missions, the NGAD is shaping up to be a cornerstone of the U.S. Air Force's strategy for maintaining air superiority in the decades to come. In their latest discussions about the Next Generation Air Dominance (NGAD) program, the United States Air Force officials have been emphasizing a shift from depending on one specific type of aircraft for each mission to a broader strategy in conducting operations. This shift doesn't mean that specialized planes are no longer needed. The Air Force has always been at the forefront of innovation. For instance, they demonstrated their ability to innovate by launching cruise missiles from a C-17 during the Rapid Dragon initiative and by dropping troops from the bomb bay of B-24s during World War II. These examples highlight their flexibility and creativity in using technology. Given their history, it's reasonable to think that some of Lockheed's ambitious ideas from the Manta project might come to life in the upcoming NGAD fighters. When the X-44 Manta was initially conceptualized, it was designed to push the limits in terms of stealth, fuel efficiency, and maneuverability. It aimed to be the first tailless manned aircraft that used only thrust vectoring for steering, eliminating the need for traditional control surfaces like rudders or ailerons that can make an aircraft easier to spot. This design was expected to make the X-44 more agile and less dependent on fuel compared to many of its contemporaries. The Manta's design wasn't only for piloted aircraft, it hinted at new uses for drones too. The silent influence of the Manta project. Moreover, the technology developed for the Manta offers great potential for unmanned missions. The stealth features and the high degree of maneuverability of the X-44 could lead to a new generation of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, that could perform risky missions without putting pilots in danger. These drones could be used in aggressive operations, such as deep penetration strikes into enemy territory, or acting as decoys to lure out enemy defenses. The concept of working together in warfare, where manned and unmanned systems collaborate, is also becoming increasingly important. The NGAD fighter, along with autonomous wingman platforms, could handle missions that previously would have required multiple aircraft. This integration of manned and unmanned systems could allow for artificial intelligence, AI, to make quick decisions during battles, enabling human pilots to concentrate on larger strategic elements of their missions. Despite the potential the X-44 project had, its development was discontinued as military priorities and technologies evolved quickly. The Pentagon shifted its focus to more traditional programs like the F-35 Lightning II, which were considered more suitable for the immediate needs of the Air Force. However, the principles and ideas behind the X-44 Manta are still very much alive within the NGAD program. Elements like its tailless design and potential for unmanned operations suggest that the innovative spirit of the X-44 could influence the design of future American fighter jets. So, what does the future hold? Will the revolutionary concepts from the X-44 era be incorporated into the NGAD fighters, or will the plans for this ambitious project be left in the past? Only time will tell. But it's clear that Lockheed Martin's tradition of pushing the limits of aviation innovation hasn't ended. As we move into a new era of air combat, the ideas from projects like the X-44 could resurface and play a significant role in shaping the future of aerial warfare. Let's talk more about the X-44 Manta and its design. The aircraft was not only groundbreaking in its use of thrust vectoring for flight control, but also in its sleek, tailless structure. This design reduced the parts of the aircraft that could reflect radar signals, thus enhancing its stealth capability. By focusing on these features, the designers of the X-44 were taking bold steps towards creating a fighter jet that could go undetected and maneuver quickly without the mechanical constraints of traditional aircraft. The potential impact of such a design on modern warfare cannot be overstated. In scenarios where stealth and speed are crucial, having an aircraft that can move undetected by radar could change the dynamics of air combat. This capability makes it ideal for surprise attacks or for avoiding detection in highly monitored areas. The idea was to give the U.S. a significant advantage in air-to-air combat and air-to-ground missions, where being spotted first can mean the difference between success and failure. Additionally, the application of Manta's design principles to unmanned aircraft could drastically alter how missions are conducted. Imagine UAVs that are not only stealthy, but also highly agile, able to navigate complex environments and evade enemy defenses with ease. These drones could undertake missions that are too risky for human pilots, such as reconnaissance in heavily defended areas, or deploying in environments that are unsafe for manned aircraft. The integration of AI in these advanced aircraft designs is another aspect worth discussing. AI can process information and make decisions at speeds far beyond human capabilities. In the heat of battle, Having AI systems that can analyze the situation and make tactical decisions could be invaluable. It could allow human pilots to focus on broader mission goals, while the AI handles immediate threats and navigation challenges. While the X44 Manta project was shelved, the lessons learned and the technology developed during its design phase have not been forgotten. These innovations continue to influence current and future military aircraft development programs. The NGAD program, in particular, stands to benefit from the pioneering work done on the Manta. As the Air Force moves towards integrating more AI and unmanned systems into their operations, the foundational work done on the X-44 could provide the blueprint for the next generation of fighters. Could the X-44 Manta be the U.S. military's most guarded secret? Or is it just another exaggerated tale? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.